The first and most important discovery, which has now become completely obvious, is that the Wands of Horus, or the caduceus of Horus, are described in ancient texts precisely as a rod possessing certain magical or wondrous properties. They are a tool that connects a person directly to the source of knowledge, to the light that we call God. But how is this connection actually made? How are we able to connect to this source? From deep antiquity comes a kind of clue that if you align yourself with this great origin, it somehow helps a person. It gives signs, guidance, and can make a person's life more correct, more successful. In religious tradition, we are offered prayer. That's essentially all that is offered to us. But thoughtful people don't always agree with this. The ancient texts approached it from a completely different perspective. Ancient Egypt offers a technology, a way by which a person can connect to what we call the God Creator, along with all the amazing possibilities that arise from this connection, which are described in the ancient Egyptian texts. Every ancient text speaks of the fact that a person is a kind of cell, a part of the Creator, and that we are in some way integrated into the structure of the universe. And the study of ancient Egyptian texts has clearly shown that we are indeed integrated into the structure of the universe. But the connection occurs through what we call the spine, the spinal column. Let's get straight to the essence of the matter, how these wands actually work. When a person takes the wands into their hands and presses them to the center of the palms, something important happens. In the central part of the palm, there is a projection of the hypothalamic-pituitary system. It's no coincidence that in many ancient texts, especially in illustrations, you can find the image of an eye in this very spot on the hand. This is the third eye, the projection of the hypothalamic-pituitary system. But when we take the wands in hand, they immediately begin to affect this energy center. The first thing we start to feel is pressure in this area. The appearance of pressure in this region indicates that an energetic column begins to form above the person's head. This is the very column that was depicted everywhere in ancient Egypt. It was called the Shu. When we place the wands on our palms, we are naturally stimulating the hypothalamic-pituitary system in a way that is embedded in the very design of human nature. So, when we apply the wands, they exert an influence on the hypothalamic-pituitary system. This is the third eye, the system that essentially regulates all endocrine processes in the body. Because the wands generate a fairly strong effect, the central nervous system receives a signal that something has begun to happen within the body. This is due to the potential difference that arises between copper and zinc, a harmonic pair, creating a voltage difference of up to 1.5 volts. On the one hand, the influence is natural, but on the other, it is powerful. This influence begins to shake the system, gradually pushing it out of the stable state it was in up until that moment. The immune system is designed to monitor and regulate the body. Even when we are ill, its task is to keep us in a survivable state. Yes, we are sick, but we are alive. That is, it tries to harmonize the processes occurring in the body. Accordingly, as soon as a positive influence is introduced, the wands immediately begin to create a force vector between the right and left sides of the body. The immune system instantly recognizes this as a strong external influence, and through other channels, the stimulus is once again directed back to the hypothalamic-pituitary system. It's like a report. Look, something has started happening in the body. When we take the wands in our hands, the hypothalamic-pituitary system sends out a signal that reaches every cell in the body. It's a polling signal, asking, what has changed in the organism since the start of this influence? So again, we take the wands, we press them to the centers of our palms. A potential difference arises, and this exerts an influence on the hypothalamic-pituitary system. It immediately sends out a command, a scan or inquiry about what is happening in the body and what has changed since the wand's influence began. And all the information from each cell, and we have 10 to the 17th power cells, starts flowing. Each cell has its own biological frequency, and now these cells begin to report in, that is, data begins to flow from all over the body. And interestingly, it first enters the first chakra, the spinal column, and then this whole set of information travels up the spine, finally reaching the hypothalamic-pituitary system, and from there moves into the intermediate brain. And when that information reaches the hypothalamic-pituitary system, something very interesting happens. The hypothalamic-pituitary system, which corresponds to the 6th and 7th chakras, activates like a light bulb being switched on. The same thing happens quite literally with the entire chakra system of the body. And in the human aura, all the information about imbalances and disorders present in the body begins to appear. This aura has been instrumentally recorded. Indeed, the aura suddenly begins to reveal the illnesses present in the organism. And then something happens, something modern medicine has not yet been able to grasp. Who makes the decision within the human body about how to heal a particular illness? This is precisely why, since ancient times, healers have used the concept of the inner doctor. So once our aura begins to glow and its size increases dramatically, this too has been measured. The entire energy system begins preparing to transmit this information to a certain other center, the place where the decision is made. And the answer to what this center is came to me quite by accident. I came across a text from the Dasana tribe, an indigenous people who have no written language in the traditional sense. They pass knowledge orally from generation to generation. This particular text said that the universe has the shape of a brain. It has a dual-chambered structure just like the human brain. And it stated that the universe has a certain central point with which every person maintains a constantly active channel of interaction. We begin to understand where exactly this information goes. Ancient Egyptian texts are filled with illustrations showing the Shu Pillar above the head. There are even remarkable images that reveal the structure of this Shu Pillar. It is divided into 12 transitional planes, levels of existence for the human being, the world, and the divine. The Shu column, starting from the hypothalamic-pituitary system, reaches the pineal gland, epiphysis. All the information is processed there, and then the brain fires it off toward the decision-making center. And as you might guess, this is the mind of the Creator, in which you are already present. It's the place where you are registered, the place you came from. That center knows everything about you. In a fraction of a second, a response comes back, carrying all the governing commands to the hypothalamic-pituitary system, instructing the body on what needs to be done to restore balance and order. This is stated quite clearly in ancient texts. With the help of the wands, we connect directly to the one who knows absolutely everything about us. That source gives us precise information, what in the body needs to be corrected, and how. Now, the effectiveness of the body's response depends on how clearly and cleanly this stream of data travels back to the hypothalamic-pituitary system. The brain must filter this information properly, and then it again returns to the hypothalamic-pituitary center, which oversees the management of all bodily processes. From there, through the spinal column, the central nervous system, and the peripheral nervous system, all this data is delivered to the cells that must carry out specific actions. And everything now depends on the condition of your spine, the health of your conduction system, your energy system, and your nervous system. And here we encounter a series of explanations in ancient Egyptian texts, for example, the concept of the Shu Pillar. What's especially important is that if you translate the term literally and straightforwardly, without embellishment, you'll see that Djed means spine. It is the spine of Osiris. If you keep your spine in good condition, that's when it gets interesting. After a period of semi-fasting, maybe a month and a half, a sensation of lightness suddenly appears, as if you've grown wings. What I'm leading you toward is an understanding of the meaning behind the term, the concept of the spine of Osiris. The next morning, something switched on inside me, and that activation, I believe, played a very important role in my life. I saw Shambhala. I was there, so to speak. It happened very early in the morning. My friend who happened to be there woke up, opened his eyes, and looked at me. I was lying on a couch just a couple of meters away from him. His eyes grew this wide, no exaggeration, because the first thing he said was, "I've never seen anything like this. You have a spotlight above your head. A white column of light is rising straight up from your head." In that moment, I understood what the spine of Osiris truly meant, how important the condition of the spinal column is. The manifestation of that Shu, which is mentioned throughout ancient Egyptian texts everywhere, they insist. The Egyptians say, "Look, remember this. This is the key question." So, if we bring our energy system into balance, if we bring our spine into order, the wands are the first tool to help us with that. And by the way, so are the Baka insoles. The meaning behind the insoles and the wands is this. When we wear the insoles, they stimulate the first chakra. And when we hold the wands in our hands, they activate the 6th and 7th chakras. That creates a potential difference between the base and the top of the spinal column. And this immediately stimulates blood flow through the spine. In other words, the wands begin to activate blood circulation in the spinal column through a specific physical mechanism. And it has indeed been observed that with regular use, the condition of the spine improves overall. And so there's your answer to how they work. On the one hand, they connect you directly to the source of information and the energy that your body needs for self-correction and self-healing. But on the other hand, the wands also initiate an entire spectrum of physiological processes that occur in parallel throughout the body. The purpose of those processes is to prepare your energy system, to prepare your spine to receive this information. And the cleaner your antenna, the more astonishing and effective the result. That's the general model of how the wands work. Their true purpose is to connect you directly to God. Ancient Egyptian texts openly state that this information was received directly from the hands of the gods.